Hey guys, good evening and welcome to the IRONMAN 70.3 Arizona course info, tips and tricks, and Q&A. Unfortunately, this is the swan song of what has been an amazing run at the Ironman 70.3 Arizona. It was recently announced that this will be the last time, at least for now, that the Ironman 70.3 is happening in Tempe. Fortunately, Amazing Ironman Arizona is slated to continue, but this is the last time we'll be doing the half. So you guys have somewhat of a unique opportunity to take part of this last event and what has been a great run there in the city of Tempe. It is one of my favorite venues. I really enjoy the city of Tempe. I enjoy this race course, both the half and the full. Are unique venues, and you guys are really in for a treat. My name is John Mayfield. I am a full time triathlon coach. I am certified by USA Triathlon at level 2, as well as Ironman U. And I've had the privilege of coaching hundreds of athletes from first timers to professionals and everyone in between. I work exclusively with long course athletes. Long course racing is my passion. So I work with athletes that are racing 70.3 and Ironman distance races. Been doing so for over a decade. So what I want to do here this evening is share some of my experience, both as an athlete myself and as a coach, to help increase your confidence and reduce your stress as race day approaches. I'm going to be going over the course. Providing some tips, and again, just hoping to pass along some information to you so that you can enjoy this amazing opportunity as much as possible, and you can go out and produce your best possible results out there on the race course. So, before we get started, a couple tips for the pre-race. One, this is something I always harp on, and I'm going to be harping on this our entire time together here this evening. But as important as it is everywhere, it is even more so important out there in the desert. So it is absolutely critical that you remain hydrated. So this is especially particular on race day, and not really usually much of an issue for most of us in the day to day as we're leading up to a race. But especially those that are beginning coming into the Tempe area from more less desert like climates, this really can be an issue. Typically, the air out there in Tempe is very dry. It is very easy to get dehydrated. You can sweat and not even know that you're sweating because it is evaporating so quickly. So it is absolutely critical that you remain hydrated throughout the race, which means starting the race at a high level of hydration. So that means staying hydrated in the days leading into the race. So my tip here is just to have a bottle with you at all times. So not just water. If you drink lots and lots of just plain water, inevitably you're going to flush out your electrolytes. Those electrolytes are also going to be critical throughout the race. So we don't want to flush those out, but we want to make sure that the electrolytes are topped off as well. So I recommend a electrolyte drink of some sort. My go-to in the days leading into the race is vitamin water. And I'll come back to that here in just a couple minutes with a little bit more on that. But just always have that water bottle handy with that electrolyte tab or something like that in it, whatever works for you. But make sure that you are staying hydrated. Another tip that is largely unique to Ironman Arizona 70.3 Arizona is bring lip balm. I am not one that carries chapstick around except when I head out to the Arizona desert. I'm also a golfer, and I've learned this lesson the hard way, being out on the golf course all day in the sun, in the wind, and that dry air. I've within a single day, I've ended that day with my lips cracked and bleeding. It's very painful, very uncomfortable. Same things happen when you're out there riding that bike and having that very dry air move over your face. It's going to just pull the moisture out. So carry some lip balm, and for me, it's also lotion as well. I live on the Texas Gulf Coast. It's very humid. My skin and my lips are used to just a whole lot of water in the air. So when I head out there to the desert, I dry out and shrivel up real quick. So I'm sure to always carry some lip balm with me, and also take advantage of the lotion there at the hotel. Limit time on your feet. Obviously, on race day, there are a whole lot of things that you're going to need your legs for. So we want to save those for race day. Now, there are several things you have to do in those days leading into the race. So it's not. I'm not saying spend the last several days on the couch, but just manage. Be aware of the time spent on your feet. Those last taper sessions are very important. So get those in. You're gonna have to go down to the Ironman Village and check in. You're gonna have to drop off your bike the day before. So all of those are time spent on your feet. So just make sure that you're pairing those with your recovery modalities. So whatever you've been doing in your race prep up until this point to stay injury free, make sure that you're continuing those in the days leading into the race. So your static and dynamic stretching, foam rolling, massage, compression boots, all those kinds of things. Keep those up throughout race day and as race day approaches. Check out the course. This is important just because we don't want to have any surprises on race day. You want to know exactly what you're in store for so you can have a plan, and then race day simply comes down to execution. I'm going to be talking about execution quite a bit. The fitness part of this is largely done. What the period we're in now is really about allowing those adaptations to come to fruition and allow the body to rest and recover. And then race day is all about execution. So we're going to be keep coming back to that. So have a plan, see the course, know exactly what you're in store for, have that plan in place, and then again, race day is all about execution. So there is no swimming in the lake there prior to race day, but a great thing about this course is you can walk out on that Mill Avenue Bridge, and you can pretty much see almost the entire race course. The entire swim venue is there. It's not a real complicated swim venue. You'll swim right underneath that bridge and then swim back underneath it on the way out. And then the run course is effectively right along that waterway for the full run course as well. And then even the bikes is largely in that same vicinity. So you can knock this out relatively quickly, relatively easy. So kind of multitask. Maybe when you're going down there to check in, drop your bike off, just walk out on that bridge and see the swim venue, see the swim entrance, swim exit, the transition, and then I would recommend going out and driving the course so you can exactly see what you're in store for on race day. So go drive the bike course. And then check out the run course as well. Again, you can see, I would guess 99% of it from the Mill Avenue Bridge, but chances are you're going to have some scheduled runs in the days leading into the race. So maybe just pick a section of the run course and go check it out. So again, what you want to do is kind of recon the course and see exactly what you're in store for on race day. Be sure to read the athlete guide. Even those that are seasoned Ironman 70.3 athletes, oftentimes there's one or two little nuggets kind of buried within these athlete guides that could prove pivotal to your race. So make sure that you have reviewed the athlete guide. Now, gonna do a little bit of myth busting and some things that are I would say ingrained within the triathlon community that really just kind of need to go away. So first is you're going to want to optimize your tire pressure. What we often see are athletes will overinflate their tires. There is a kind of a long-standing thought that the more tire pressure, the better. The more pressure we put in the tires, the less contact there's going to be with that tire in the ground, so less rolling resistance. However, as we have learned in recent years, our wheels have gotten wider, tires have gotten wider. We have seen that it is actually beneficial to run a lower tire pressure. So my recommendation here is to check out the Silca tire pressure calculator. That's SILCA. They make bike accessories, and they have this great online calculator that you can put in your your wheel size, your tire size, your weight, and it will give you your optimized tire pressure. So what we see is for most athletes, especially if you have a relatively new wheel set, you're probably going to land somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 85 psi. I race at about 175 pounds. I run my tires at 100 and excuse me, not 180, at 80 psi. So check out that resource and make sure that you're not overinflating your tires. Now, this next one might raise some eyebrows. It may even cause some controversy. Some of you may scream and disagree with me, but I have checked this over and over with reputable bike mechanics and lots of people in the know. Don't deflate your tires the night before the race. So you're going to have to drop off your bike the day before the race. And yes, the temperature, especially out there in the desert, is going to drop overnight, and then it's going to heat up the following day out there. And the thought is that if you don't deflate your tires, that change in temperature is going to lead to a change in tire pressure, which can cause your tubes to pop. And the fact of the matter is that that's just not the case. If there is such a large temperature swing that it's going to cause that air to expand so much that your tire's going to pop, we've got much bigger problems to deal with. There's just not that much air in a typical 700cc tire, and the amount of temperature change necessary to cause that to blow, again, much bigger problems there. So there's no need to deflate your tires overnight. And in fact, if something is going to happen on race morning or during the race, it's not because you didn't deflate your tires. It's because there's a pinch in the tube, your tires are overinflated, something like that. So you actually want that flat to occur either overnight or in the morning, but as opposed to mile 5, mile 10, mile 20 of the bike. So just no need to deflate your tires. I wouldn't say there's not necessarily a need to inflate them either. Just bring it down as is and top off your tires on race morning. And then the last thing is, this one's kind of trivial, but don't cover your saddle. There's really just not a need to. A lot of times what we'll see is generally less of a factor, knock on wood, out in Arizona, is if there's rain in the forecast, we'll see grocery sacks covering up the saddles. But first thing you're going to do when you come out of that swim is go hop on it, and you're going to be soaking wet from the swim, and that saddle's going to get soaking wet. So not really a need to cover your saddle. There's really no benefit to it, and it's just another thing to do. It's another thing to keep up with. So it's about being efficient and minimizing the things that you have to do and focusing on those things that are truly beneficial and truly going to help you on race day. And just putting a cover on your saddle just isn't one of those. So, all right, on to the race. Really great swim venue. It's unique. It's one thing that's kind of cool is it's right in the flight path of the Phoenix airport, which is a very busy airport. So that there's something that'll kind of keep you occupied, is there's going to be planes flying over on a fairly regular interval out there. Swim start. Water temperature will be announced prior. Typically, what you'll see when you go down to check in, they will be checking those water temperatures in the days leading into the race. They will be sharing that generally in the registration table. We'll have that posted to give you a pretty good idea of what that water temperature is going to be. According to the city of Tempe, the water is currently 78 degrees. This is somewhat in line with what we have seen over the past, but it can fluctuate. It can vary, obviously, based on historical trends. Last year, unfortunately, the swim was canceled due to a large amount of rain that came in the overnight hours prior to the race, especially out there in the desert. They're obviously not used to getting these large amounts of rain. So a concern for this body of water is the health and safety of it. With that rain that can be contaminated, they didn't have time to do their testing, so therefore the swim was canceled. Again, it's pretty unlikely to have rain in the desert. Hopefully not 2 years in a row, knock on wood. So hopefully that's not an issue. Prior to that, in 2021, the water temperature was officially 72. 2020 was 76. 2019, 78. So what we see there is kind of a fluctuation somewhere, give or take, mid 70s with a certain standard deviation from that. The official water temperature will be taken in the early hours of race morning. They will be announcing exactly what that water temperature is in transition, so you will know pretty much as soon as you get down there to top off your tire pressure, get your transition area set up, and then execute on your wetsuit plan. It is wetsuit legal up to and including 76.1 degrees. So it's kind of right in there, kind of within our expected range. Right now, assuming that 78 degrees that's posted by the city of Tempe reconciles with what Ironman is measuring, it would not be wetsuit legal. It would be what is referred to as wetsuit optional. Again, over the last couple years, 2020 and 2021, it was below that 76.1, so it's wetsuit legal, wetsuit optional in 2019. So it's kind of one of those things. We'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens over the next couple of days with the weather and all of that. So if it is 76.2 or higher, again, it is wetsuit optional. You can still wear that wetsuit, but you will start in a wave after all of those that elect not to wear the wetsuit. And then you are not eligible for age group awards or world championship allocation. So you're still an official finisher. You're just not eligible for the awards or the world championship slots. The official start time is 6:20, so bright and early. So yeah, that's one of the earlier race starts. So just be aware of that. It is a self-seated rolling start. So what this means is you will line up down there along the water according to your expected swim time. So basically, there will be volunteers holding signs. I believe the first sign is something like 25 minutes and under, and then you will have every 5 minutes increments from there. So you'll have 25 to 30, 30 to 35, all the way to 1 hour plus. So you will line up with those of a similar swim ability. This is going to help reduce the amount of contact and reduce the amount of folks that you're having to swim over, the amount of folks swimming over you. And then you will all kind of file into the water in a time trial method, getting into the water that way. New, or actually not new, but kind of going back. I think this is a great shift over what has been over the last several years. The swim start is returning to right outside of transition. Over the last several years, both the 70.3 and the full race have utilized some boat ramps that are a fair distance away from the transition area, which meant a haul from transition to the swim starts, as well as a lengthy run after the swim back into transition. So I think this is great to see the return of the stairs there. It's just going to make it a lot easier. And so staircase entrance, and then there is a floating dock exit. So they're both kind of right there together. The staircase is set up a little bit further away from the Mill Avenue Bridge. I believe it's very similar to what you see here in this picture. And then according to the diagrams in the athlete guide, that floating dock is going to be set up pretty close to the Mill Avenue Bridge. So you'll swim back under the bridge and exit out on that dock. But again, all that will be set up in the days prior to the race. So you're going to be able to walk out on that Mill Avenue Bridge. If you're not familiar with Mill Avenue, that's the bridge there in the background of this picture. It's pretty much in every picture that has anything to do with Ironman Arizona. So I'm confident that even if you don't know that's Mill Avenue, you at least know what that bridge is. So yeah, just walk out on it and get your picture made, which is super cool. And again, you'll be able to see a whole lot of the course from there, including the swim start and the swim exit. Couple tips for the swim start. Create a wetsuit plan. Do that now. Be thinking about it and know what you're going to do. So what we don't want to do is make any unnecessary decisions on race day. You've got enough decisions to make without having to complicate things. So anything you can decide on now is beneficial to do. And again, race day simply becomes about executing. So right now, the water temperature is 78 degrees. So what are you going to do if the water temperature is 78 degrees? Are you going to wear just your tri-kit? Are you going to wear a swim skin? Are you going to elect to wear a wetsuit and start in one of those later waves? If the water temperature, say, is 76.1, that's wetsuit legal, but that's still pretty warm water. What if the temperature is, say, 75.9? A little bit below that wetsuit cutoff, where it is wetsuit legal. However, again, still pretty warm water, and we're conceivably looking at a relatively warm day. So this is something that we're going to be talking about as well. So just be aware that what you choose to wear on the swim not only affects your swim, but the rest of the day as well. So if you swim in warm water in a wetsuit, that is going to cause your core temperature to elevate. And that is something we're going to talk about more in a bit, is that is one of the things we really need to execute on, is maintaining a cool core temperature. So think about that as well. Consider that, factor that into your plan. But again, know what you're going to do, regardless of what the water temperature is, in advance, and set that plan. Get cued early. So, as mentioned before, self-seated rolling start, there's going to be these corrals set up, and they fill up, and then it becomes very difficult to kind of work your way through the crowd. So, get down there early. Remember, this is an early start, 6:20 race start. So that means getting down to the race site, getting parked, getting your transition area all set up, and then heading down to the swim queue. So it's an early morning. So plan for that. Get down there early. Get everything set up. The parking is free in a garage that's very close, very accessible to the transition area, which is fantastic. But there can be a little bit of traffic getting in there because there's so many athletes filing into those garages. But early morning, get down there to the swim start early and get queued up. Right, next, take note of the number of buoys. Now, something we're going to keep coming back to talking about throughout this entire evening is how do we approach this 70.3 mile event? It's a 1.2 mile swim, 56 miles on the bike, 13-mile run. That's daunting. It's big. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So what we want to do is break the course down into very manageable segments that we can celebrate little victories along the way. So one of the ways that I do this is taking note of the number of buoys, and they will be numbered. So what I like to know is how many buoys are there from the swim start to the turn, and then how many back. And that way I can just count them off. I know how many I've done. I know how many there are to go. And then that's my focus. So for me, it's just swimming to the first buoy, the second buoy, so on and so forth, to the turn, to the way back. And then that's what I focus on, are just these very short incremental objectives. And then you celebrate a little victory and then move on to the next. So not sure if the buoys will be set out the day before the race. Sometimes they do. Sometimes it's overnight that's done. But again, just hop up there on the Mill Avenue Bridge. You'll be able to see and count how many buoys there are. And then when you get into the queue, don't queue slower than expected. This is something we see pretty often, fairly common, is either a swimmer is apprehensive and they say, well, I'm a 45-minute swimmer, but I'm going to line up at 55. Or I'm a 45-minute swimmer, but I've got some friends or training partners that are 1-hour swimmers, so I'm going to go back there with them. As mentioned before, this self-seated rolling start provides for a better swim experience because you're swimming with athletes of a similar swim ability, similar pace. You're going to be able to take advantage of drafting off of these other swimmers that are swimming similar paces to you. If you queue slower than expected, you're not going to get that benefit. You're going to end up swimming over people, hitting people, and that just turns ugly. So line up as accurately as possible. And then once you head down those stairs into the water, settle in, get in some sink downs if needed. Do what you need to do to get comfortable before just jetting off on the swim. Yes, the clock is rolling, and for a lot, you're going to hit the water and be going full speed in. For some, it's going to be more beneficial to take just a second, get down there and just settle into the water, duck your head under, and then just get comfortable being in that water. If you're wearing a wetsuit, be comfortable in that suit in the water. And then once you're comfortable and ready to go, take off and have a fantastic swim. So it is being billed as a new course. It is different than the last couple years, but this is actually a throwback to the way the courses used to be set up. Tempe Town Lake is a relatively small body of water, so there's only so many ways the course can be configured. I think this is going to be the best. It's actually nice to have that staircase set up right outside of the transition area. It was quite a lengthy walk to the swim start and swim exit, which made for longer walks before the race and longer transition times. So I'm glad to see this quote unquote new course being implemented. As mentioned, it's a relatively small body of water. It's a man made, dammed up lake, so don't have to worry about currents or tides or anything like that. Basically, the water doesn't go anywhere, so no currents. The one thing that can be an issue is there can be some surface chop, just basically depending on how much wind there is going to determine if it's completely flat or just a little bit of surface chop. The course is set up primarily in a east-west direction, so I'm going to be headed out to the east first, then you turn back to the west. So depending on your start time, how far back you start will determine how high the sun is in the sky at that time. Um, if you're lining up in that 25, 30, 35-minute range, you're going to be getting into the water relatively early, so closer to that swim start time. If you are in that 55, 60, 60 plus, it's going to take probably closer to 45 minutes, maybe even longer, to get everyone into the water. So a little bit different sun position so far as that goes. But additionally, water clarity is not good. You're not going to be seeing a whole lot underwater. The water is pretty murky, so not a whole lot to see, which is good because you wouldn't be able to see it anyway. Couple tips for the swim course. As mentioned, the first half, so to speak, is going to be into that relatively low sun. So, would recommend some mirrored, darker goggles so that you're able to see swimming into that sunrise, being able to sight off of those buoys. There's also some larger buildings, some apartment complexes that are some good low level, horizon level sighting lines. So using the buoys and that good combination of opportunities to sight. Like everything else, break the course into segments. Again, how do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Don't think about racing 70.3 miles. Don't even think about swimming 1.2 miles. Break the course into segments. So is it buoy to buoy? Is it turn buoy to turn buoy? Whatever is going to work for you. So for me, it's just basically buoy to buoy. So every 100 meters, I'm getting a little dopamine hit. I know I'm making progress, and I just go from one buoy to the next, and before I know it, I'm exiting the swim. Sight often. So even if you are a good swimmer, I recommend starting off the swim with a high frequency of sighting. If you are finding that every time you sight, you're right on line and not having to make any corrections, then you can begin to lengthen the amount of time between sights. If you begin to find that those longer breaks are resulting in you having to make some corrections, then it's time to dial it back in. So hopefully, relatively early on in this swim, you'll find that cadence that's right for you, that you're able to not have to sight too frequently, but you're sighting frequently enough where you're not having to make course corrections. The best way to lengthen your swim time is to swim extra yardage. The best way to swim extra yardage is to swim crooked. The best way to swim crooked is to not sight frequently enough. So make sure that you are sighting as often as necessary to swim straight and not swim any excessive yardage. Little tip here, consider activated charcoal. They will be testing the water quality. Again, last year the swim was canceled due to a water quality concern. So the water is going to be good enough. That said, there have been some folks who have mentioned having some issues with the water. So I've never had an issue with the water in Arizona. Never had any issues. But something you can do is use activated charcoal. There's some pills you can take. They have them at drugstores, Amazon. Most people don't have any issues with it, but if you're going to try that, obviously we want to check that out, try it before race day. I have used them in other races. Ironman Texas is one that's known for some pretty funky water on the swim. I've taken activated charcoal there just to be on the safe side. So if that is a concern for you, consider taking activated charcoal. Just it helps absorb any nasty stuff in your stomach before it gets passed on. All right, headed into transition. A couple things here to improve your time, get you in and out as quickly as possible. Know your location. This is a big transition area. There are going to be a whole lot of bikes, a whole lot of racks that look exactly alike, a lot of bikes that look exactly alike. So it's going to be very important that you know where your bike is, where your transition area is set up. Something you can do the day before when you drop off your bike is be cognizant of any landmarks or anything like light post or anything like that that is going to make your location stand out. Something you can use as a landmark to identify your location. From there, I'm going to kind of lump the next three together. We want to be efficient, pack minimally, and practice in advance. So that's kind of the key to a good, quick, efficient transition. Is not doing more things than you need to do, not having more things than you need to have, and then practicing, knowing exactly what your procedure is, what order do you do things, and then practice so that you begin, so that you're efficient in that. You can move through those movements quickly. You know exactly what they are. You know where you start. You know what's next. You know what comes last. That way, you know you've done everything that you need to do, and then you can then head out onto the course. I will say, even as a word of warning from my own experience, the last race I was in, I did something a little different. It was usually I have my helmet sitting on my bars, where I just tilt it onto my head and I'm good to go. It was a windy morning, so I actually set it down on the ground. And that was just enough change that I forgot to put my helmet on. I've been racing for more than a decade. I can't even tell you how many triathlons I've done. That was the first time I made it about halfway out of transition without a helmet on. So even experienced, seasoned athletes are not immune to this. So have that routine, know what it is, and then as possible, don't deviate from it like I did, because bad things happen when you deviate from your plan. Last tip here on transition is courtesy of my friends at Precision Fuel and Hydration. I love this one. It's consider a go bottle. So earlier I mentioned that I will sip on vitamin water in the days leading into the race. One of the reasons I like the vitamin water is the bottle has a nice big mouth on it, so you can drink from it real quick. So I use those. I will save 2 of those bottles in the days leading into the race, and then they will become my T1 and T2 go bottles. So for T1, I will put about 6 to 8 ounces of water into that bottle, and then I will put a serving of my electrolytes and a serving of my nutrition in that bottle. As I come through and I am transitioning, I will just chug down that 6 to 8 ounces of water real quick. And that is going to just give me a boost and get me started. So, since the time that I walked down to the swim start, spent the time swimming, all of that, I've been burning calories, been losing hydration, losing electrolytes. So, this is going to start to replenish that and then get a kickstart on my hydration and nutrition protocols as I head out onto the bike course. So this bike course is certainly a unique one. It has even been referred to as the Tempe Crit, simply because it almost rides like a crit race. It has a whole bunch of turns, a whole bunch of U-turns, which is certainly unique and not always favored by triathletes. Um, because triathletes are kind of notorious for not having the best bike handling skills. Time trial bikes don't U-turn with the same nimbleness that road bikes do. So certainly going to be a test and interesting for you guys. It is a 3-loop course. There are some pros and cons to that. Hopefully, the pros outweigh the cons on it. And there are 5 U-turns per loop. So that means you're going to be U-turning 15 times over the course of this 56-mile route. Generally, you're going to have pretty good roads. This is a pretty much entirely urban course. These are city streets that are pretty well maintained. Not getting out on the backcountry roads where you've got roads that aren't taken as good a care of. So generally, good quality roads. So nothing to worry about there. The first 2/3 of the course are relatively flat. Certainly, nothing to be overly concerned about. You can see down there at the bottom of the screen is the elevation chart. This is per lap, so you'll begin again be doing this 3 times. So the first 2/3, 3/4 there, you can see not a whole lot to it. Couple ups and downs, but those are very small, very minor. Maybe just shifting a gear or two, but nothing major. Even that little bit of elevation there on the end is still relatively small. Um, these are not big climbs, steep, extended distance climbs. So nothing to particularly worry about. But again, always recommend going out and seeing the course and being familiar with it. The section of the course that these are going to be on is kind of where that 14, 16, 18-mile markers, north side of the lake, kind of in the green background area. That is the section of the course where there is a little bit of elevation. Again, not a ton, just enough to kind of break it up and make it interesting. Not pancake flat, but certainly nothing to really consider hills or climbs or anything like that. Perhaps more of concern is the fact that the course is fully exposed to both the sun and the wind. We are out here in the desert, so chances are the sun will be out. It's going to be a warm afternoon. Again, temperatures are predicted to be in the low 90s, high for the day. So certainly climbing there by the time everyone is out there on the bike course. And then generally there is a certain amount of wind as well. Obviously difficult this far out to predict how strong the winds will be, but whatever they are, this course is largely exposed to the wind. There are some buildings, but pretty much you're going to be fully exposed to whatever wind is out there. Couple tips for the bike course: practice those U-turns. Um, Time trial bikes are handled a little bit different than road bikes. They don't U-turn as quickly. Now, most of these U-turns are relatively wide. There's an esplanade that'll be going around. It's not a narrow 2-lane road that you're going to have to U-turn on, but you want to be proficient in those U-turns. So get comfortable. And not only be comfortable completing the U-turn, but you want to go through these U-turns with a certain amount of speed. It's certainly not flying into these, but the major concern there is this course is going to get crowded. So make sure that you're not spending too much time in that U-turn zone. You want to get out of there as quickly as possible. Otherwise, things can back up. Things back up. We start having wrecks and that sort of thing. So you're basically want to get out of that U-turn area as quickly as possible. So practice. You've got a couple opportunities here before race day. Maybe even just go out in the driveway or in the street and just get comfortable U-turning on your bike. Settle into the loop and build throughout. That's one of the benefits of a multi-loop course. This is a great opportunity to hold back a little bit on this first lap. Really get a feel for the day, the temperature, the wind direction, wind speed, how you're feeling. Great opportunity to let your heart rate settle from the swim and transition. Be patient. You've only done the shortest leg of the event so far, so there's a lot more to go. Be patient, settle in. Again, let that first loop just kind of be a recon for the day. What are the conditions? How are you feeling? And then from there, you can build throughout. Keep your head on a swivel. There are going to be a lot of people out on this course. The fact that it is a 3-loop course means that there's going to be a lot of people in a relatively small amount of space. So there's inevitably going to be kind of backups. You need to be careful on the drafting. There may be times where it's going to be difficult to maintain those bike links. So be very cognizant of the other athletes that are around you, and be a good cyclist. Be courteous. Stay in communication. Talk with the people that you're around. Let those folks know when you're passing. All those kinds of things are going to keep everyone safe. But definitely keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of everything that is going on around you. As mentioned, it is going to be critical that you stay ahead of your hydration and your nutrition, but also that you stay cool. There's that direct correlation between your body temperature and your ability to perform. As your body temperature increases, your body is going to protect itself and limit the amount of performance your body is able to do. So, the more time we spend generating body heat, exercising out in the desert heat, desert sun, the more we're going to have to manage our body temperature. Part of that is staying up on hydration and electrolytes as well as nutrition. So those are going to be critical in maintaining. So there are 4 things that you need to really focus on when it comes to execution. We already mentioned pacing a little bit. Pacing is critical. Hydration and electrolytes, your nutrition, and your cooling protocol. If you nail those 4 things, you're going to have a fantastic race. You're going to set a PR. You're going to perform to your best. But the more of those that you don't execute on well, the more the penalty is going to be. The more it's going to be obvious. So when things go wrong and races don't go as hoped, oftentimes it has to do with the execution of one of those things. So let's make sure that you have a plan for each one of those and you execute on race day. I've said that many times, but it's absolutely critical. Race day, again, is all about execution. So stay up on your hydration, stay up on your electrolytes, stay up on your nutrition, and stay up on your cooling protocol. So my tip for staying cool on the bike is taking a water bottle from every aid station. What I will do when I roll through that aid station, the first thing you're going to come to is water. So I will take a water bottle home, a volunteer at that first opportunity. First thing I do is chug a whole bunch of that cold water. So I'm looking to cool my core from the inside, cool it internally by drinking the cold fluids. Next, I will spray my face with the cold water, spray my neck, my back, get as much of my kit wet as I can to now cool my body externally. I'll chug again, spray again, and then discard that bottle. So doing that through every aid station, every opportunity I have, I want to make sure, again, staying up on my hydration. So I'm drinking that water, and that cold water is helping to control my core temperature. Then also working on the core temperature from the outside. Now in the desert, going to dry out pretty quick, but that is how your body is going to release that heat that is being generated from those working muscles. So if you are using the Gatorade that is offered on course, same thing. I always recommend taking a fresh bottle. Even if you have 90% of the bottle you just took from the last aid station, go ahead and ditch that one and take a cold one. That cold Gatorade is going to be more palatable, so you're more likely to drink it, get the fluid, get the calories, get the electrolytes in, and again, it's going to help cool your core. So always take a cool bottle when you have the opportunity to do so. Then, late in the bike, begin to prep for T2 and the run. My rule of thumb is in the last 6 miles, I don't take in anything into my stomach. So, mile 50 is my cutoff. So, as I'm approaching miles 47, 48, 49, I'm beginning to take inventory. Where am I on my hydration? Where am I on nutrition? Am I on? Am I behind? Do I need to catch up? And then I will take in a little extra to get me through those last few miles. So basically, what I want to do is allow my stomach to empty over those last 6 miles. So it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 minutes. where I'm allowing my stomach to empty so I don't roll into transition and then start the run with a bloated feeling or a bunch of fluid sloshing around in my stomach. I want my stomach to be emptied when I am starting the run, so I can head out strong. The other thing I'm going to do is match my cycling cadence to my run cadence. So when I'm racing a 70.3, my bike cadence is in the 80 to 85 RPM neighborhood, but I want to be running at a cadence of around 90 steps per minute. So I'm going to increase my cadence closer to that 90 RPMs and work on that brain body connectivity. So basically what I'm going to tell my body is this is now what we're doing. I want to turn my feet over at a rate of 90 per minute, and then that's going to carry on as you begin the run. So match that cadence on. Again, you'll establish that brain body connection, and then you'll come floating out of transition at your proper cadence. As you head into T2, T2 tips intentionally look exactly like the T1 tips. Be efficient, pack minimally, practice in advance, and consider that go bottle. So, the one thing I will do differently for my T2 go bottle is instead of 6 to 8 ounces that I do in T1, I'll do a little more, something more like 12 to 14 ounces. I haven't had anything over the last 20 minutes or so because, again, remember I cut it off around mile 50. So my stomach has now had the opportunity to empty. So it's ready to take on more. So I can take this in without, again, causing the bloating, causing my stomach to slosh. So it's fresh, emptied, ready to take on my run course nutrition. So if everything is going to plan and everything is feeling good, I'll go ahead and take down that 12 ounces right there in transition as I'm throwing on my shoes and everything I'm doing in T2. If I decide maybe I'm only up for half of it right now, I can take that bottle with me. Now it truly becomes a go bottle. I will take that out, nurse it over the first quarter mile, half mile, mile, whatever the case may be. When that bottle is empty, I'll go ahead and ditch it and then resume my normal on course nutrition protocol. All right, out here onto the run. This is one of my favorite run courses. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's fast, it's entertaining, it's engaging, spectator friendly. So again, in for a treat. Not quite as many loops as the bike. It's only 2 loops, which I like 2 loop run courses for several reasons. It is a mix of road, gravel, and paved path. The vast majority of the time is going to be on paved path. There is a section that is hard packed crushed gravel. Actually, the initial stretch out of transition is along that gravel path. It's hard packed. It really runs almost like pavement. Certainly don't need trail shoes or anything like that. Nothing like that. And then from there you convert over to paved path. Spend a little bit of time on the roads, primarily as you're crossing the bridges, that sort of thing. So basically, you've got really good surfaces that you're going to be running along. It is fully exposed to the sun. Again, we're expecting clear skies and warm to hot temperatures. It's going to be, by the time you're on the run course, upper 80s, low 90s, most likely, and you're going to be in the sun. The only exception to that is the occasional shadow from a building, but those are few and far between. There's maybe a couple small trees on a couple sections of the path, but basically, be ready to be in that desert sun. It's pancake flat, other than a couple sections where you're going like from kind of the water level up to the street level. There's a couple little rolling bumps here and there, just enough to make it interesting. I would say kind of the equivalent of the bike, where we're certainly not doing any major hill climbs or mountaineering out on the bike course. Same thing on the run. Little ups and downs, just enough to keep it fun and make it interesting. All right. So, a couple tips for the run course. Just like every other section of this race, break the course into sections. So, I think this run course really lends itself nicely to being able to do that. One, you have the two loops. So, you can focus just on running this first loop. But two, you have this kind of coming and leaving that center Mill Avenue bridge numerous times. So kind of like your first stretch, you're running out from away from that Mill Ave bridge. You come back, cross over the lake, then you're crossing over that bridge. You're running away from it, and then running back. So you're never all that far away from that Mill Avenue bridge. So for me, that's just kind of a reassuring thought, and you can pretty much see it the entire time, so you know that's where your loop is. That's where the finish line is going to be. You can mark off your progress, and great opportunity there to break this course into sections. Like the others as well, ease in and build throughout. Hopefully, you come out of transition floating. Like I mentioned, your cadence is going to be nice and easy, automatic. But be careful about sometimes it can be a bit deceptive as you're heading out of transition. You may look down and you may be running 30 to 60 seconds per mile faster than your plan. That unfortunately doesn't usually last. So make sure that you're dialing that back in and sticking to that protocol that you have tested in your training, in your race rehearsals, all of that. So stick to that plan, and then use those opportunities to build throughout. Um, the best course of action here is to set up a negative split. So running that second lap faster than the first lap. Very few triathletes have the discipline and the ability to do that. But if you do, you're going to be running down, passing. Can't even tell you how many folks out there later in the race. So ease in, build throughout, and then run your way into the end. For the last time, going to remind you, stay hydrated and stay cool. This is really where this is going to manifest. This is how you're going to be able to judge how well you have done on your execution throughout the day. Your pacing, your hydration, your nutrition, your electrolytes, they're all going to manifest on the run. You can mess up your hydration, your nutrition, all those things on the bike, and you're going to be fine. You're going to come off the bike. You're not out there for all that long. Where you're going to see how well you've done is really even on the second lap of the run. If you have nailed all of those protocols and executed a great race, you're going to love your second lap of this run. It's going to be fast. You're going to feel great. It's going to be glorious. If you're struggling on that second lap, it's because something went wrong. And most likely it had to do with pacing, hydration, electrolytes, or your cooling protocol. So again, make sure that you are prioritizing those. Make sure that you have a plan. Whatever you've been doing in training, look back and see, on my good days, here's what I did. Hopefully this is something that you've instituted throughout your training. Use those opportunities to dial in all these protocols. They are very, very important. So stick to them, and they're going to carry you through race day. Because of that, it is a good idea to take something from every aid station. Not only did you pay a whole bunch of money to be in this race, so you might as well get your money's worth and take the opportunity, chances are you can use something at every aid station. It may be a gel, it may be the Gatorade, it may be pretzels or fruit, something like that. It may be part of your ongoing regular nutrition protocol. For me, it is. I take a gel and water at the first aid station, and then I take a gel and water at every odd aid station. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. But then also on those even numbered aid stations, I will still take basically everything I can to stay cool. So my first focus is nutrition, odds, and then evens is staying cool. So it's ice. I'll chew on ice. I will drink the ice water. I will pour ice down my shorts, down my jersey, under my hat. Pour cold water over my head. Everything I can do to stay cool. So again, unless we have a drastic change in the forecast, it's going to be hot. You're going to need to cool yourself off. So I would say take those opportunities in those aid stations to do what you can to stay cool and keep your core temperature down. From there, going to head to the finish line. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be amazing. I have a high level of confidence you are going to nail your execution and have a fantastic race. So as you do, clean up. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this race, but we don't want them in the finisher pictures. Plan your finish. Have fun with it. What are you going to do? How are you going to celebrate? How are you going to cross the line there? And then for me, it's all the high fives. I love giving high fives to the kids, to the complete strangers, my loved ones, support crew. So that's it too. And then find some space. You've been out there for all those hours under your own power. So enjoy the finish line by yourself as well. If you come in at a crowd, maybe hang back just a little bit and let them have their moment so you can have yours. Now, if you had made a best friend at mile 2 and you guys have ran the last 11 miles together, by all means, hold hands as you come across the finish line and celebrate that. But take it all in. It's a really neat experience. It is something that you have a high level of investment in. So make sure that you really do enjoy the finish line experience. All right, so we are down here to just a couple minutes left. So my last tip that I'm going to give is to check out what I would call perhaps, and this will be controversial as well, in my opinion, the best pizza in the United States is there in Tempe. It's a restaurant called Oregano's. As much as I love coming back to these races every fall, the real reason I keep coming back to Tempe is to get a pizza from Oregano's. So if you try to find me at dinner time, chances are a good place to look is at Oregano's. It's there are several in the greater Phoenix area, but there's one on University, which is right there. It's just off of Mill on University. So if you're staying anywhere near the Ironman Village, you are not far from the Oregano's there, and the pizza is just amazing as you can see. So anyway, thanks to everyone who submitted questions. We are right up against time. So I'm going to get through a couple here as quickly as possible. But as mentioned, if I do not have the opportunity to answer your question, I will follow up via email in the next couple days. Or if you have questions now, if you have questions in the next couple days, next couple weeks, feel free to reach out. I want to help. I want to be of service however I can to you. My email address is john@tribetriathlon.net. So a couple quick questions here. Should I use a disc wheel on this course? I would say yes. I would always say if you have the disc, if you're familiar with it, you're comfortable with it, and you have the opportunity to race with it, always race with the disc. Even if it is windy, it's still generally a good idea to run the disc. There's a whole bunch of science behind that. What is of much more concern than that rear wheel is your front wheel selection in the high winds. Your front wheel is hinged, whereas your back wheel is fixed. Your front wheel has only about 30% of your body weight over it, whereas the rear has about 70% of your body weight. That front wheel is much less stable in those crosswinds. So if it is forecasted to be a windy day, that is going to be the more important decision is what is the depth of wheel that you're running up front. Next, should I ride a road bike? If you have the choice between a time trial bike and a road bike, I would say still go with the time trial bike. The vast majority of this course, you're still going to be down in the air position, riding in a non-draft legal position. If you've got a road bike, great. You're going to zip around those U-turns. You're going to be super comfortable on the technical aspect of this course, even though it's not overly technical, but the certain amount of technical areas, you're going to be that much better off. If you've only got the time trial bike, nothing to worry about. If you only got the road bike, nothing to worry about. If you got both, I would still say go with the time trial bike. Okay, we are right up against time. I know you guys are tapering triathletes. I want to let you guys get to bed. Don't want to keep you longer than promised. Again, any questions that you've got, feel free to reach out. If I didn't answer your question, you'll be hearing from me in the next couple days. I want to say thank you again for your time here this evening. I hope this has been beneficial. I hope it's been time well spent. I hope you have a great race. I hope you have an amazing experience at 70.3 Arizona. All the best. Good night.